Hi friends, it's Carly and I'm back again with another review. So we finally wrapped up our Retro Spider-Man series, and if you guys missed those videos, please go check them out. They were all really great figures, and I highly recommend everybody check out those reviews and pick up the set as soon as you can. But now we are on our final 3 Age of Apocalypse figures. So I've got 2 figures left, and then we'll be looking at the Sugar Man bath over the next 3 days. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and have your notifications bell turn on, because I have one more bonus video coming up either today or tomorrow, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get to it, so make sure your notifications bell is turned on so that you get alerted as soon as that bonus video posts. With all of that housekeeping out of the way now, let's go ahead and look at our next figure, Wild Child. So, I have a lot to say about this figure. I did some research into who this character is. He's a mutant, obviously. His name is Kyle. I forget what the last name is, but that's not really important here. And his story is convoluted. It is messy. It really seems like over time, every time that he appears, they're trying to add abilities or change abilities. He's been a part of X Factor. He's been a part of the Weapon X program. He's been a part of Gamma Flights, is that what it's called? He's been a part of everything. So he's all over the place. His abilities change. Sometimes he's so animalistic that he doesn't have the ability to speak. That's how he is in Age of Apocalypse. Sometimes he's really intelligent. One of the main characteristics they talk about a lot is how hideously ugly he is, which, you know, in some of the source material I think maybe doesn't really read well. It wasn't really captured that well, but the head on this one kind of does, I guess. We'll get to that in just a second. But his Age of Apocalypse story is strange, to say the least. He is Sabretooth's pet, and Sabretooth in Age of Apocalypse is one of Apocalypse's 4 horsemen in the beginning of the story, and Wild Child is so wild that they have to keep him on a chain. Like, he's basically on leash with Sabretooth, and he sort of turns the tide of the battle. When Sabretooth, I believe, dies, Wild Child goes to the X-Men and licks Rogue so that she can absorb his memories and get some critical information about how to pursue the fight against Apocalypse further. So he ends up being a good guy because he's so animalistic that he can't speak. So that's how he gets the information to them. Super weird, crazy gross. I don't know. I feel like I just don't really like this character. It doesn't seem like he ever really fully gets fleshed out. It seems like they just keep injecting him into stories and different timelines and never really like complete his story. They're always adding things and taking things away, and sometimes he can talk and sometimes he can't, and sometimes he's good looking and sometimes he's ugly, and sometimes he's a pet and sometimes he's his own man with missions and vendettas, like out to get Wolverine. It's just a really weird character. I don't like it. That's my opinion. But I also have a lot of problems with this figure, guys. So let's just start looking at him. So the facial sculpt, I think, is probably the best part of this figure, although once again we have this weird anime hair, and it really takes a good facial sculpt that is pretty creepy and detailed. You know, there's a lot of fine detail in the paintwork on the head. They've given him these great sideburns. His fangs are bright white, and you can see the inside of his mouth. His eyes are sort of glowing white. They did a lot of good paintwork and sculpting on the head of this figure, and then this weird hair. I don't really understand that choice. They did it also on Weapon X, and it doesn't work at all on any level. And it sort of messes with the articulation of the head. So with this figure, we have a really good range of motion that should give us all those great, like, animalistic poses that we like to see, sort of bestial poses. But really, if the hair isn't touching his shoulders, it looks weird. So this is really, if you want it to look decent at all from the side, this is how the head has to be. Just like push the hair down until it can't go any farther, and that's the way that it sits best, but it still looks funny in the front. you can see. Like, it's his chin up. The hair is just a mess, and I don't know why they did that with this series. I can't think of other figures that I've seen with the hair this like wild straight back, but they did it with Weapon X2 and it didn't work on him. So what is a good facial sculpt with strong paint work already, they really mess up with this weird hair. And again, they did this on Weapon X2, these like weird vinyl hairs in his face. I think it's supposed to demonstrate to us that he's so wild. His hair's in his face, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, I saw source material artwork some where he would maybe have some hair in his face, but really not so much. He kind of always has just sort of this long ponytail. So this isn't really what I saw. But again, one way or another, whether it's direct from the source material or not, it doesn't work. It's really bad looking. And then we already have the repurposing of an accessory that we've seen in this line with Morph. This is maybe slightly smaller, maybe it has a couple more studs, but it's such a direct likeness that it bugs me that it feels like we're already recycling things within a line. And, you know, like I said, they're a little bit different, but it just irritates me. I just don't like that. And with Kyle wearing this bodysuit, the collar is weird. And now I know that, like I just told you, Sabretooth keeps him on a chain leash at all times. So that's why he has the collar. We get it. He's a pet or whatever. But I think there could have been a better way to do it. Just putting this weird vinyl piece over his bodysuit, I just don't like it. It looks really cheap, and I feel like there could have been a better way to execute that part of the costume. Now let's get into the bodysuit itself. So I have literally at least three different shades of yellow paint on this figure. And I hope that my camera can capture it because it is kind of subtle. But we have the color that the body is. We have the color that the top portion of the thighs right here is, a distinctly different color. We have the color that the legs are, and I think that the legs and the arms are the same color. So from the top portion of the thigh down is one color. The top portion of the thigh up to the hip is one color. The body is a completely different color. And I think the arms are supposed to be the same color as the legs. I think that they actually are the same. But then even the nubs of the shoulders, the actual, first section of the shoulders is a slightly different color than the color right here. And this is not about his costume. This is just straight up and down crappy paintwork. Whether they didn't put enough coats on, whether they didn't match colors properly when they were in the middle of the project, I don't know, I can't say, but it's bad and it looks terrible. And as I was reading about how, one of Kyle's key features is how ugly he is, like, I do not think that this is what they meant. This is an ugly toy, and it's because the effort was not made to make him correct, and that's all there is to it. There is, when I'm working these joints, a tackiness, so I can understand that if you're having to do several layers of paint, it might be difficult to match the colors exactly, but this is a professional outfit, guys. Like, we can't have this. We can't have a figure in a unitard, which is a single bodysuit that is 3, possibly 4 different shades of the same color. It's just unforgivable. And I hate it. It makes me really angry because that's just a lack of effort. It's a lack of effort and a lack of caring. Accidents happen, but you don't put those accidents in a box and then hawk them to your fans and customers for $20. There's just no excuse for it, and I am actually, I'm always saying, I'm not mad at it, I'm pretty mad at this. I don't like that they decided that this was okay. So, yeah. It's then even more off-putting, and now this is the design of the character. So that's the thing I think that Hasbro did wrong by putting out this garbage paint job. But then there is the design of the character, which is also lazy and off-putting as well. So it's even more, noticeable that the paintwork is done so poorly on the bodysuit because his hands and feet are bare and stick out and are his flesh tone. So then you have, and that's just a weird look. I don't know, you know, they kind of painted like a piece of cloth like coming down. I don't know why they did that. You can barely even see it. And it's like, why try to put this little detail in when you didn't try anywhere else on this figure? I don't get that. But so he's got these like clawed hands and feet, which are hideous and terrifying. But look at how they sit. Like they don't. So this is not, this yellow, I had to look at source material to understand because I didn't know this character and I'd only seen the figure. I had to look at source material to realize that this is not his body. He does have a furry body in some iterations, but in this iteration, this is not his body. This is a bodysuit that he is wearing. And this is his body coming out of it. So look at how weird this looks. Like, this doesn't look like pants going down over a foot. The bodysuit goes into his, like, this should be flesh toned right here. And it looks messed up. It looks like he's wearing man shoes. Like, his shoes are in the shape of human sort of feet. That is the design of the suit, for his bare feet and hands to stick out. But Hasbro not painting it properly so that there is a line where the cuff of the pant should go and that there's flesh that comes out here, that is easy. The fact that they didn't do that makes me mad. This is one of the laziest paint jobs I have ever seen. The paintwork on this is horrible. And it really just feels like they don't care. Now, I will say, I'm going to go back and I'm going to point out some of the finer details. You know, I think these feet are really, really ugly, but they're supposed to be. And they kind of, you know, got his claws. He's got like this veiny sculpt. You know, you can see all the tendons, and the same on the hands. So I feel like maybe there was a little bit put in, but there is no excuse for this suit, and I can't get over it. I can't let it go. From the collar to the different colors of paint to the not making the simple effort to just paint the ankle of, the ankle the right color, and then to see this and be like, yeah, that's okay. We'll just give that to people. That, it makes me so angry. I won't continue to harp on it, but I really don't like it. And I do think that they did their due diligence on the head, but the hair then ruins it. So where they actually did put in the effort that you expect to see, they ruin it with a crappy sculpt. Let's go ahead and look at the rest of the articulation. We've already done the head. That's great. We do have a great lateral lift on this guy. And, from the source material I've seen, he needs to be pretty flexible. So I appreciate that they got that right. And these are tight joints, too. They click through. So you really get the full range of motion and lots of great places to stop on the way. And he also has butterfly joints. They're not as dramatic as the butterfly joints that we saw on the Spidey that I just did. This is them all the way back. And this is them all the way forward. So here's back. And here's forward. But they did give them, so they're not the best butterfly joints we've seen, but they work. So this is the smallest male frame body type I think we've seen. So it's a size smaller than Spider-Man is, and that sort of, I guess, is to enhance that he's a pet. And this one doesn't have all of the same production defects that we were seeing on that mid-size body that we saw with our Sunfire. And who else had that? I can't remember, but it doesn't have the same sort of production defects that we see. It feels like this is a tighter form, and it feels like that's probably because they use this less. They use this mold less, so it hasn't gotten the wear and tear over time that mid-sized body did. So that's good. I mean, I'm glad to see that. Let's see, we have 360 degrees in the shoulder here. We have 360 degrees in the bicep. We have a good double jointed elbow. You kind of have to manipulate it a little bit because of his muscles, but it bends really well. 360 degrees in the wrist, and we have really great full sort of range of motion in the wrist here, where we can bend it up and down in all different types of ways. So that's really good. I appreciate that. I do wish the butterfly joints were a little bit more dramatic. So in his torso, this is the bend forward that we get, and the back bend just isn't really happening. So it looks like it should, but it just doesn't. So I'm not going to try to force it because I don't want to break it. But we don't really get much in the torso. We should be able to get more, I think. And we have a 360-degree turn waist. Here you can hopefully see the differences in the paint colors here a little bit more. 360 degrees here. This is really tacky, and I think that that's because of coats of paint. I've seen that before. So as you work it, it'll get looser, I think. A really great knee. With this slight calf and slim thigh, it's a lot easier to get it all the way up, so that's great. And then we can... These weird feet have the joint, but like... Again, I think they're a little tacky because of the paint. So you kind of have to like work them. But you do have the full range of motion. They sort of separate from the ankle here. It would be really nice if that was the color of an ankle. But yeah. So even as I'm working it, paint is sort of like peeling back a little bit. So you do have the full range of motion here, but you really have to like manipulate it and work with it to get it to go. So the articulate points are okay on this. You can definitely feel that everything is tighter in this figure, and like I said, I think it's because this small male body frame type isn't used quite as frequently as especially the mid-sized one where we have that really, really loose waist. You know, those molds degrade over time. So the more that they're used, you know, eventually they're going to have to create a new mold. They're not going to be able to just keep using it over and over and over again. But so that is an advantage with this because this mold for this body isn't used as much. All of the pieces fit together better. So that's great. But this figure is a disappointment in every way. And I don't know if there are a lot of people out there who are great big fans of Kyle. His story seems really convoluted to me. The whole thing seems like a mess from top to bottom. From the story, from the design, from the character. His role in Apocalypse is weird and gross. But I think that fans of Wild Child will be disappointed in this figure. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments. If you have this figure and you love it and you think that it works, I didn't really look at his chain accessory, but it's confusing. So, because this is supposed to be his leash, but they have it kind of as a weapon, so maybe he does use it as a weapon. It would be a cool weapon if he did. But it's confusing. It doesn't read well. They did not make any type of effort to make this a good-looking figure. If you're a fan, let me know what you think of this figure. Let me know what I should know about Kyle that I don't. Because it was really difficult to kind of get a grip on who he is and who he's supposed to be, because he changes so much and he's been in so many different places. I will not be putting this figure on my shelf. There's nothing satisfying about it. He just doesn't work. So I hate to say that. I hate having reviews that are all bad like this, but I really feel like this is almost all bad, and that upsets me. This has been a very inconsistent line and an overwhelmingly disappointing line, and I'm hoping that by the time we do, so the final figure we're going to look at is Dark Beast, and then we're going to look at Sugar Man. So I'm hoping that by the time we get to Sugar Man, I'll have some like takeaways. Like, here's what I learned from this terrible line. And I hope that I will have some lessons to share or some thoughts to offer, because at this point I'm just kind of exasperated with the whole thing. So let me know what you guys think about this figure. Let me know what you've thought about the Age of Apocalypse line. I am doing Wild Beast tomorrow, and the next day I will be doing Sugar Man, and we will put this all behind us. I'm super grateful for you guys watching my videos. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for turning on your notifications and leaving me helpful comments, corrections, educating me on these characters, telling me what to read, what you would like to see next. If you tell me in the comments what you want to see, I will do it. And that is that for this video. There will be a bonus video either today or tomorrow, so keep that notification bell on, and I will be back tomorrow with another one. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye, friends.